Kings end the season falling to the Portland Trailblazers 122-110. Oh man, it's been a tough one, a challenging one, but hey, we made it, we are here, and there's still some good, positive things to take out of this season. I'm Morgan Ragan. That's Deuce Mason.
Yeah, the 41st season of Kings basketball, Chapter 41, closed. But they ended. It was kind of an entertaining game tonight, the season finale in Portland. And I think that's kind of my big takeaway is just, you know, you try to find the good and the bad. And when you win 22 games in a season, that's not very good. But the fact that tonight they've got 8 players, so many guys out, outside of the second quarter, which was a disaster, they competed in this game. They got back in this game. I like how these young guys finished. There were some bright spots along the way.
I mean, that's it. There were so many times during this game that Deuce and I are just looking at each other going, the ball movement. Like, it just is so crisp. There's so many different things that you're seeing from these young guys. Now, what you're seeing, especially when they're taking on a team that ends up beating them like this, is, okay, this isn't fully going to be good enough to get the wins that you need with an NBA team. But you see where the Kings are at after so many things have fallen apart over the last year or so, and so different that you have to start picking up the pieces and building that brick by brick once again. And I feel like the bricks are there with some of these young guys and the potential that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that we're at the end of the season and your second-round pick is going to be on the all-rookie team. It would be a shock if Maxime Raynaud did not make it.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Clifford showing some really nice signs, especially late, of being more confident out there with the basketball, his scoring ability. You know, Devin Carter with some flashes. What Dylan Cardwell has provided from an energy perspective. Like, these guys getting the opportunities down the stretch, it's a great thing. You know, the Kings were so banged up and injured this year.
Yeah.
They had 23 players on the roster at one point. Or not at one point. Total this season. They had 34.
Illegally, they had 23
34 different starting lineups this year, right? So that's a lot. They dealt with a ton of injuries. For perspective, by the way, the Beam team year, 22-23 season, when they won 48 games, they had 9 different starting lineups. So, you know, the health wasn't on their side, but when that's not on your side, it can lead the opportunity. I think you saw a lot of good opportunity for these young guys.
Yeah, and I want to talk big picture about some of these young guys and so many different things with the Kings. But just to circle in and finish off this game, let's talk about that third quarter because you said it. Besides the second quarter, the way that they responded to that bad quarter, Deuce, that came out in that second half, went on a big run. What was working so well for them?
Well, number one, I thought defensively, the help was there. They cut off Avdia, who's so good at getting downhill, and you saw the help defense, deflections, and then get out and go. Oh, Neek with the spin and finish. It was an impressive quarter. They held Portland to just 19 points, 27-19 Kings in that quarter. They forced turnovers, 6 turnovers. Portland just 7 of 24 shooting in that third quarter. I thought the Kings answered the challenge after a really tough second quarter where they had 9 turnovers in that quarter. The second chance opportunities were through the roof. They rebounded the ball better. They played tougher. The help, and that led to good things and allowed them to get back in the game.
The response in a game that technically doesn't matter and all the different things. It could be the end of the season. Everyone could have senioritis. It could be whatever. And it's so important to see what the mentality of some of these young guys are in a game like this, and especially when you are getting these opportunities and get to show off one last time. So that third quarter was huge, showed off a lot of like what these guys are capable of and the mindset that they play with. One of those guys being Maxime Raynaud. He's going to be our Mercedes-Benz of Stockton star player of the game. And let's talk about tonight and then talk about the whole season for Max. But tonight, he finished with 21 points. He ended up with 9 rebounds in this game. We didn't like what we saw at the half, rebounding, and then look, he responded. He turned things on, running the floor. He had some beautiful move at the end of the game, pump fake, footwork, beautiful to the rack. Deuce, Max tonight, what did you see?
A lot of what we've seen really down the stretch of the season for him, right? It's being really good inside, but now showing the ability to stretch the floor on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a game changer for Maxime Raynaud.
Sure.
He wasn't taking a lot of threes early in the season.
No.
Now starting to do this. You look at his season totals, 12.5 points a game, 57% shooting. That three-point percentage, 32 is not great, but it's trending upward, rebounding, and then, even showing that he can make some nice passes in that short roll. For him to get 74 games, legit run. We talk about this all the time with young players. They just need opportunity. It doesn't mean, hey, just let him do whatever he wants out there. But because of the injury, Sabonis being out most of the year, Eubanks, another guy with a season-ending injury, he got so much run and opportunity to go out there and show what he can do. He is an offensively gifted player.
A unique opportunity because, I'm going to say it, we're not talking about Maxime Raynaud if all those guys are healthy. We're just not.
I mean, maybe you
Deuce,
think, no.
With the way that it was trending with Doug Christie.
Couple things.
Don't make me flip this desk.
Relax.
No.
All I was going to say is, maybe he gets opportunity to back up Sabonis if he beats out Eubanks. But, if Sabonis is healthy the entire year,
that's what I'm saying. He's
playing the majority of the minutes. And then on top of that, Cardwell's probably in Stockton.
That, but then also track record of what Doug Christie was doing at the beginning of the season, especially when it came to the vets and the older guys. It's like, they have to play. Even when it was bad basketball and it seemed like nothing was working, I understand it. He was in his first full season as an NBA head coach, and that is what he was going to go with. But you weren't going to see these young guys get the time that they needed to show up in these opportunities. And I know there's so many opportunities for young guys around the league where we go, even if you get 3 minutes, you got to just show up and do what you can. It's so much easier said than done. And so for Max to get these minutes, for Dylan to get the opportunity and show off what he is capable of as a big in the NBA, it's not happening everywhere. No,
it's really impactful. And so Max has shown what he can do offensively.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned, the three-point shooting, 3 of 4 from downtown this game. The next step for him is going to be better defensively, right? It's going to be get stronger too, right? Get used to that NBA physicality so you can be a force on the glass as well.
I'm excited to see his growth over the offseason because what we just saw in one season, his rookie season, game by game by game, we would make jokes like, okay, every single pregame we're talking about Maxime Raynaud. Not only was he one of the most positive things of this Kings season, but it's exactly the hope that you want to hang on to when you are a fan of an organization that just hasn't won many games and then isn't winning many games in that season. So excited for that. The next guy I want to talk about is Nick Clifford, the other guy that is young and we're excited to see grow. Nick Clifford tonight in Portland, Deuce. He started this game once again. He was 10 of 13 from the field, just super efficient, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. So he finished with 24 points. What do you make of his game tonight?
Well, we've talked about the aggressiveness, but just now the confidence, right? Breaking guys off the dribble. Look at this move on Denny here. And then, he's attacking the paint with relentlessness in this game tonight, going at Rob Williams. Look at this spin. Ooh. That was so nasty. Those are plays that he wasn't making early in the season. And, I know early on, so many people are like, Nick is not really doing much out there. I think the biggest difference between his opportunity early and Max's, the Kings didn't have a whole bunch of bigs. They did have plenty of guards and guys who could have the ball in their hands at one point. That's obviously shifted. And down the stretch run of this season, Nick looking more comfortable with the basketball. And that's going to be his next step. I think he's more of a secondary ball handler.
Sure.
But tonight, making so many plays out of the pick and roll, right? Whether it is finding the open man for 3, the roller, or just looking for his own, the creativity is there, but it's dealing with the pressure. It's working on the handles, the shot creation, and then doing it consistently. I think he does a lot of good things out there, and I'm excited about his upside too.
It's like I mentioned, the 5 assists in this game, but it's what we were seeing him as a facilitator, as a decision maker. When the ball is in his hands, good things would happen. At the beginning of the season, it felt like he was a little timid. Understandable, you're a rookie, but no, it continued with the guys that he was with on the floor.
We talked about that too.
A lot.
DeRozan and Levine, Westbrook, those guys were his binky, and it would always be the safety net for him, and he'd give up the ball too many times. He needed to be more aggressive on his own. He's built that confidence now at the NBA level. And by the way, tonight, let's not get it twisted, okay? This Portland team is 11th in defensive rating. They're one of the better defensive teams in the league. They've got length, versatility, too. They were playing for something tonight. Yeah. They were trying to clinch that 8th spot in this play-in. So, you know, they were bringing it, too.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point. It's not like they were playing a bottom-of-the-barrel team that didn't care about what was going to happen tonight. They were a team that was trying to make sure that they got this dub, good defensive team, have their big players, rim protection, everything else, and Neat Clifford was still able to get to the rim, to do so many great things in the paint, and to also facilitate. I want to get to our Humboldt Follow the Magic moments of the year.
Oh,
I know. Let's start with
there's a long list. Where do we start?
All right, so mine, I went with the Beam Boys were born, Deuce. And I just thought it was the coolest thing to see these guys get so excited to light the beam, shove some glasses on it. Didn't matter how many games they won this season. They were excited to do this. We sat down with Dylan Cardwell, and he talked about how it was just something that brought them joy, that was so playful and fun, but also was a good way to start joy within a culture. And that was something big for him. He always saw OKC have fun. He's like, I know they're winning and that generates so much fun, but why can't we have fun with the things that we do have?
Hey, it's, again, talking about finding the good during the tough times.
Yep.
And for them, it was like appreciating the win. Yeah, they only had 22 times to light the beam this year. But in those moments, that group was going to enjoy it. So, yeah, the sunglasses, lighting the beam.
What's yours?
Enjoying that school. Mine, going to the Dylan Cardwell celebrations.
Oh.
We didn't know much about this guy coming out of Auburn. But, man, did he make his presence felt. The expressions, the Spider-Man meme.
The Spider-Man, never forget. That's
and then
awesome.
How about when he had the block on LeBron? This was early. Got a piece of that one.
Oh.
He was so juiced for that play. And then just his ability to get the crowd into it. Like, he enjoys playing the game of basketball. And when he's at home, his mission is to get these fans engaged. Oh, he got Kamara. He even did the celebration.
Dude,
That's Kamara's celebration. He actually apologized to him after doing that, by the way. And he does it from a place of joy. Like, he talked about, he doesn't do this.
He's not Dylan the villain.
Right. He brings it at home. But I just think his energy has been a lot of fun this year. And I think Kings fans were able to connect with him really early on because of that.
And every team deserves a guy like Dylan Cardwell. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about this one and nothing to look ahead to game-wise except an off season. So let's talk about that coming up next.
May 10th, baby.